10 Japanese sleeper cars erased from history. Gearheads will be shocked. They don't look fast. They don't sound dangerous. And that's exactly why history got them wrong. These are 10 Japanese sleeper cars erased from memory. Machines built to blend in, stay quiet, and then destroy expectations when pushed. Stay till the end, because some of the most shocking performance cars Japan ever made were hiding in plain sight. 10. Mitsubishi Galant VR4 Type S. From the outside, the Mitsubishi Galant VR4 Type S looks like a serious executive sedan. Clean lines, 4 doors, no drama, but that calm face is a lie. Under the hood lives the legendary 2-liter 4G 63 turbocharged inline-4, the same bloodline that would later terrorize rally stages in the Lancer Evolution. In late JDM Type S trims, it pushed out around 236 horsepower and 228 pound-feet of torque, sent through an advanced full-time all-wheel drive system that was years ahead of its rivals. This wasn't just quick for its time, it was dangerous. 0 to 60 miles per hour came in roughly 5.7 seconds, and with the limiter removed, the Galant VR4 could surge toward 150 miles per hour, all while carrying the weight of a full-size sedan at around 3,086 pounds. That mass gave it stability at speed, but also meant once the boost hit, things happened fast. Turbo lag followed by a brutal mid-range punch made careless drivers run out of road very quickly. What makes the Type S truly special is its rarity. Mitsubishi produced only a few thousand units globally, with roughly 5,000 examples ever built, many of them driven hard, modified, or lost to time. This wasn't a tuner toy when new. It was an undercover weapon built to homologate Mitsubishi's rally ambitions and quietly embarrass far more expensive performance cars. The Galant VR4 Type S proved one thing clearly. Practicality doesn't mean safety, and 4 doors don't mean slow. But if you think a turbocharged AWD sedan is unexpected, wait until the next car shrinks everything down to key car size. 9 Daihatsu Mira TRXX Avanzado R. At first glance, the Daihatsu Mira TRXX Avanzado R looks almost laughable, a tiny, boxy hatchback that seems more suited to grocery runs than high-speed drama. But this car exists purely to break expectations. Built at the absolute limit of Japan's key car regulations, the Avanzado R hides a 660 cubic centimeter JBDET turbocharged inline-4, engineered with obsessive precision. Power was officially capped at 64 horsepower, but torque told the real story. Around 74 pound-feet, delivered instantly thanks to aggressive turbo tuning. What makes this car genuinely shocking is its weight, or lack of it. Tipping the scales at roughly 1,587 pounds, the Mira had almost nothing to slow it down. That featherweight body meant 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 7.5 seconds. Numbers that embarrassed much larger, naturally aspirated sports cars of the era. Top speed was electronically limited to about 90 miles per hour, but getting there felt far more intense than the numbers suggest. This wasn't just a straight-line trick either. The Avanzado R featured all-wheel drive, a close ratio 5-speed manual, and a stiffened chassis designed to handle boost and abuse. Push it hard and the car felt like a mechanical grenade. Short wheelbase, instant torque, and zero margin for error. Drivers didn't sit in the road, they sat on it. Rarity seals its legend. Daihatsu produced roughly 2,000 units, making the Avanzado R one of the rarest and most extreme K cars ever sold. Many were raced, modified, or destroyed. Survivors today are cult-level collectibles. The Mira TRXX Avanzado R proved that danger doesn't need displacement. Sometimes all it needs is boost and zero weight. And if a 660 cubic centimeter hatchback could do this, imagine what happens when Toyota drops a legendary straight-six into a forgotten executive sedan. 8. Toyota Verossa VR25. The Toyota Verossa VR25 is one of those cars that almost disappeared the moment it was born. Its controversial front end kept it out of the spotlight, and that's exactly why it became dangerous. Beneath that awkward executive sedan skin sat one of Toyota's greatest weapons, the 1JZGTE 2.5-liter twin-turbo inline-6. In factory form, it produced 280 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque, delivered with silk-smooth violence that defined Toyota's golden turbo era. This power went to the rear wheels, and when boost arrived, it arrived hard. The Verossa VR25 could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 5 seconds, pulling relentlessly toward a top speed of roughly 155 miles per hour once unrestricted. Despite being a 4-door luxury sedan weighing about 3,263 pounds, it never felt slow. It felt composed, heavy, and confident at speed. The kind of car that builds momentum instead of screaming for attention. What makes the Verossa truly unsettling is how quietly it does everything. The suspension was tuned for stability, not drama. The cabin was plush, isolated, and deceptively calm, even as the straight six spun higher and higher. You could cruise all day or drop a gear and leave far newer cars wondering what just happened. Production numbers were limited by time, not demand. Built only between 2001 and 2004, estimates suggest fewer than 10,000 VR25 units were ever produced. Many were daily driven, some modified, and most forgotten. Making clean examples rare sleeper gold today. The Verossa VR25 proved that Toyota didn't always need aggressive styling to dominate. Sometimes the real threat hid behind bad design choices. But if you think Toyota mastered the art of the quiet turbo sedan, Nissan was already doing it years earlier, with even less flash and even more menace. 7. Nissan Laurel Medalist Turbo. The Nissan Laurel Medalist Turbo is the kind of car that disappears into traffic, and that's exactly how it wants it. Boxy, conservative, almost invisible. But this sedan wasn't built to impress passengers. It was built to humiliate assumptions. Under the hood sits Nissan's iron-hearted R B20DET 2-liter turbocharged inline-six, an engine known for its smoothness and its refusal to brake under pressure. Factory output hovered around 205 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque, but the way it delivered that power felt far more serious than the numbers suggest. This wasn't an explosive car, it was a steady threat. Rear-wheel drive, long wheelbase, and a curb weight of roughly 3,050 pounds gave the Laurel a planted, almost arrogant feel at speed. 0 to 60 miles per hour came in about 6.5 seconds, and once moving, it would pull cleanly toward a top speed near 100 to 45 miles per hour when unrestricted. No drama, no noise, just relentless forward motion, and that's where the danger lived. The Laurel didn't feel fast, it felt comfortable, too comfortable. The suspension soaked up speed, the cabin stayed quiet, and drivers often found themselves deep into triple digits before realizing how far they'd gone. This was a highway predator, calm, heavy, and confident. The kind of car that punished overconfidence rather than rewarding aggression. Production numbers were never loudly advertised, but estimates suggest tens of thousands of Medalist turbo variants were built across multiple generations. Most lived ordinary lives. Few survived unmodified. Fewer still are recognized for what they truly were. The Nissan Laurel Medalist Turbo proved that menace doesn't need spoilers or flair. Sometimes it wears a suit and waits patiently. But if a heavy rear-drive turbo sedan could quietly dominate highways, wait until the next car adds rally DNA, all-wheel drive, and a turbocharged punch in a much smaller body. 6. Mazda Familia GTX Turbo. The Mazda Familia GTX doesn't announce itself. There's no aggressive styling, no wide arches, no obvious warning signs. It looks like a modest late 80s hatchback. The kind of car you'd never give a second glance. And that's exactly how it earned its reputation. Beneath that innocent shell sits a 1.8-liter BP turbocharged inline-4, pushing out around 180 horsepower and 165 pound-feet of torque, numbers that may seem tame today, but were outright aggressive for a compact car of its era. What turns the GTX into something far more serious is the drivetrain. Mazda paired that turbo engine with a full-time four-wheel drive system, giving the car brutal traction off the line. Weighing just about 2,450 pounds, the Familia launched hard, hitting 0 to 60 miles per hour in roughly 6.5 seconds. And on loose or wet surfaces, it felt unstoppable. Top speed sat around 130 miles per hour, but the real thrill was how fast it got there, not how far it went. This car carried rally DNA in its bones. Short wheelbase, quick steering, and boost that arrived suddenly made the GTX feel twitchy, alive, and slightly unhinged when pushed. Drive it casually and it behaved. Push it hard and it demanded respect. Lift mid-corner, misjudge throttle, and the car reminded you that grip doesn't mean forgiveness. Mazda built the Familia GTX in limited numbers, with estimates placing production at under 10,000 units worldwide. Many sacrificed to rallying, hard driving, or rust. Clean survivors today are rare and misunderstood. The GTX proved that danger doesn't always come from size or prestige. Sometimes it comes from a small hatch with turbo pressure and all four wheels clawing at the road. But if you think a compact four-wheel drive turbo hatch is the peak of sleeper performance, the next car takes that formula, adds more power, more weight, and turns it into a family wagon that had no business being this fast. 5. Toyota Caldina GTT. The Toyota Caldina GTT is the kind of car that rewrites your definition of danger. A wagon, a family hauler, something you'd expect to see loaded with groceries, not chasing sports cars into the distance. And yet, hidden beneath its sensible bodywork is the 3SGTE, 2-liter, turbocharged inline-4, an engine forged in Toyota's rally and GT racing era. In JDM GTT form, it produced around 260 horsepower and 239 pound-feet of torque, sent through a full-time all-wheel drive system that wasted nothing. This thing moved hard. With a curb weight of roughly 3,350 pounds, the Caldina GTT could still launch from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 5.8 seconds, clawing forward with relentless traction. Once rolling, it surged toward a top speed of around 145 miles per hour when unrestricted, numbers that had no business coming from a wagon with a rear hatch and roof rails. And that's where the drama lived. The Caldina felt stable, too stable. The longer wheelbase and AWD system gave drivers a dangerous sense of confidence, encouraging speeds that didn't match the car's humble appearance. Boost came on strong, mid-range torque hit like a shove in the back, and suddenly you were going much faster than planned, quietly, efficiently, and without warning. Toyota never intended this car to be famous. Produced in limited numbers in the early 2000s, with estimates placing only several thousand GTT units built, many were daily driven into obscurity. Few survived untouched. Fewer are recognized today for how brutally capable they were. The Caldina GTT proved that practicality can be a disguise, and sometimes the most dangerous cars don't look fast at all. But if a turbocharged AWD wagon could hide this much menace, wait until the next car swaps practicality for pure executive aggression. 4. Mitsubishi Diamante 30RS. The Mitsubishi Diamante 30RS is the definition of a forgotten threat. Big, elegant, quiet. The kind of executive sedan that looks built for boardrooms, not back roads. But Mitsubishi hid something deeply unsettling beneath that refined exterior. Power came from a 3-liter V6, 6G72, tuned aggressively for the Japanese market, producing around 270 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque. Numbers that placed it dangerously close to proper performance sedans of its era. This power was sent to the front wheels, and that's where the drama began. With a curb weight of roughly 3,300 pounds, the Diamante 30RS wasn't light, but it was deceptively fast. 0 to 60 miles per hour arrived in about 6.4 seconds, and once up to speed, the car surged toward an unrestricted top speed near 145 miles per hour, staying eerily composed the entire time. No theatrics, no warning, just smooth, relentless acceleration. What made the 30RS genuinely dangerous was how calm it felt while doing all this. The suspension was tuned for high-speed stability, the cabin isolated road noise almost too well, and the steering gave little indication of how fast you were actually going. Drivers often found themselves deep into illegal speeds without any sense of urgency or effort. The Diamante didn't scare you, it lulled you. This trim was never meant to be common. Mitsubishi built the 30RS in very limited numbers, with estimates suggesting only a few thousand units were produced before the model faded into obscurity. Many were driven daily, few preserved, and most forgotten entirely. The Diamante 30RS proved that danger doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, wrapped in leather, silence, and V6 power. But if you think Mitsubishi was alone in hiding performance inside polite sedans, the next car takes subtlety to an almost criminal level. 3. Nissan Presea 2.0 CT2. The Nissan Presea 2.0 CT2 might be one of the most misleading cars Japan ever produced. Not stand out, but that softness is a trap. Because hidden under the hood is Nissan's SR20DET 2-liter turbocharged inline-4, an engine that built legends in far more aggressive machines. In the CT2, it produced around 205 horsepower and 203 pound-feet of torque, quietly turning this unassuming car into a genuine sleeper. Power was sent to the front wheels, and with a curb weight of just about 2,650 pounds, and once the turbo was fully spooled, the car pulled hard toward a top speed near 140 miles per hour when unrestricted. The acceleration felt sudden, almost rude, especially because nothing about the car's appearance prepared you for it. And that's where the drama lives. The Presea felt too normal. The steering was light, the ride was comfortable, the cabin was quiet. There was no adrenaline until boost hit. And then suddenly the front tires were fighting for grip, and the road was disappearing far faster than expected. It punished hesitation and rewarded commitment, making every pull feel slightly illegal, slightly wrong. The CT2 was never meant to be a hero car. Production numbers were limited, with estimates suggesting only a few thousand units were ever built. And even fewer are remembered. The Nissan Presea 2.0 CT2 proved that the most dangerous cars aren't the loud ones. They're the ones you underestimate. But if a forgotten front-drive sedan could hide this much menace, imagine what happens when Subaru adds twin turbos, all-wheel drive, and wraps it all in a family wagon. 2. Subaru Legacy GTB E-Tune 2. The Subaru Legacy GTB E-Tune 2 is proof that Subaru once built cars that were quietly unhinged. On the surface, it's just a long-roof family wagon, practical, understated, almost conservative. But turn the key and you awaken something far more serious. Under the hood sits Subaru's legendary 2-liter EJ20 twin-turbo flat 4, engineered to deliver relentless, layered power. In E-Tune 2 form, output climbed to about 276 horsepower and 253 pound-feet of torque, sent through Subaru's uncompromising, symmetrical all-wheel drive system. This car didn't explode off the line. It built pressure. The first turbo spooled early, the second hit harder, and suddenly the wagon surged forward with a force that felt completely wrong for something with rear seats and a cargo area. Weighing roughly 3,350 pounds, the GTB still managed 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 5.6 seconds. And once unrestricted, it pushed toward a top speed near 155 miles per hour. At speed, it felt planted, heavy, and eerily confident, the kind of car that made high velocity feel routine. That's where the danger lived. The GTB didn't scream for attention. The suspension stayed composed. The steering stayed calm. The cabin stayed quiet. You didn't feel like you were driving fast until you looked down and realized how far past the limit you'd gone. Wet roads, mountain passes, highways at night, this car thrived where others hesitated. Subaru kept this monster almost secret. Built exclusively for Japan in the late 1990s and early 2000s, only a few thousand GTB E-Tune 2 units were ever produced. Many were driven hard, many modified. Clean survivors today are rare and dangerously underrated. The Legacy GTB E-Tune 2 wasn't just fast, it was confident, and that confidence made it lethal. But if you think Subaru perfected the art of the hidden performance car, the final entry takes subtlety even further. 1. Isuzu Aska Turbo. The Isuzu Aska Turbo isn't just rare, it's almost erased from memory, and that's what makes it terrifying. At a glance, it looks like a polite, late 80s executive sedan, conservative to the point of invisibility. No wings, no aggression, no warning. But this car was never meant to be obvious. It was meant to be underestimated. Developed in collaboration with Mure, Isuzu's performance partner, the Aska Turbo hit a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4, tuned for the Japanese market. Output sat at around 180 horsepower and 170 pound-feet of torque, delivered in a sudden, old-school surge once boost arrived. In an era before electronic safety nets, that power went straight to the front wheels, raw, unfiltered, and unforgiving. Weighing approximately 2,900 pounds, the Aska Turbo didn't need massive numbers to feel fast. 0 to 60 miles per hour came in about 7 seconds. But the real story was mid-range acceleration, where the turbo hit hard and stayed there. Unrestricted, the car could push toward a top speed of roughly 140 miles per hour, all while remaining visually anonymous. No one saw it coming, not on highways, not at lights, not in mirrors, and that's where the drama peaked. The suspension was firm, the steering direct, and the chassis demanded respect. Push too early out of a corner, and torque steer reminded you who was in charge. Push too late, and the Aska surged forward with a violence its styling never hinted at. This wasn't a car that entertained mistakes, it punished them. Production numbers are the final nail in its legend. Estimates suggest well under 2,000 Irmscher turbo units were ever built. Many were daily driven, many were lost. Very few survived untouched. The Isuzu Aska Turbo wasn't loud, it wasn't famous, it wasn't celebrated. It was dangerous because almost no one knew what it really was. These cars weren't rejected for being slow or flawed. They were left behind because the world wasn't ready for them. Built in an era that favored restraint over reputation, many slipped through history unnoticed, their potential never fully recognized. Years later, a few are resurfacing, while most remain whispers among dedicated enthusiasts. That's why telling these stories still matters. With every passing year, fewer remain on the road, and more disappear into memory. If you enjoy exploring the side of automotive history that almost vanished, subscribe for more forgotten legends, and never stop questioning what was overlooked.